All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone because that's where I learned this truth from through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Yahweh is the true name of the God of Israel. Yahweh Shai, so the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one and only true name is Yahweh Shai. And pretty much I just wanted to do a video, showing you the difference between the lunar calendar, the Julius Caesar calendar, and the Gregorian calendar. All right, because the Julius Caesar calendar and Pope Gregory or the Gregorian calendar are solar calendars. Solar meaning the calendar is determined and based off of the sun, which is a form of sun worship, which that's what us Hebrew Israelites should not be following. That's not a part of our customs. That's not the ways of our forefathers. Our forefathers determined high holy days and the new year based off of what? The month. All right. I mean, based off of the moon. Excuse me. The word month, it comes from the word moon, and I'm show you that because a lot of people is just in ignorance. They don't know where these different days come from. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Nobody really questions nothing. They say, "Oh, it doesn't matter. What's so important about it?" So I typed in, because I was just doing like some research. I typed in where do weekdays come from, and as you can see here, it says Tar was one of the sons of Odin, or Woden, the supreme deity after whom Wednesday is named. Similarly, Thursday originates from Thor, the god of thunder. Friday is derived from Frigga, the wife of Odin, representing love and beauty. Saturday comes from Saturn, the ancient Roman god of fun and feasting. So these different holidays, well, the holidays are pagan. That comes from the heathen civilizations. But these weekdays first originated during the Greek Empire, and then the Romans implemented the same thing but changed the names because it was the same people ruling, the Edomites, the sea line of the so-called white race. So it says, how did days of the week get their names? The Greeks named the days week after the sun, sun worship, just like their calendar, the Julius Caesar calendar and the Gregorian calendar based off of the sun, sun worship. It says the Greeks named the days week after the sun, the moon, and the 5 known planets, which were in turn named after the gods Ares, Hermes, Zeus, Aphrodite, and Kronos. The Romans substituted their equivalent gods for the Greek gods Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. So even the calendars that we use is sun worship. The days of the week is all sun worship and idolatry. So dealing with the lunar calendar, which is the way of our forefathers. And by the way, the biblical Israelites are the seed line of the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. All right, our forefathers, the main ones, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the prophets of the Old and New Testament, King David, King Solomon, they based everything off of the lunar calendar, based off of the moon. So this is the calendar that we should be going by, to be able to look up at the moon and determine, the different signs and the seasons, like the scriptures say. But the so-called white race, the biblical Edomites during the Greek and Roman Empire, they changed that. And now we have to go according to their ways, which is wrong. So a lunar calendar is based upon the monthly cycles of the moon phases. So that's what it's based on. All right. It's not based off of the sun. It's based off of the moon. That's what we're supposed to do. And the Issacharites, which is the so-called, Aztecs, the Mayans, the so-called Mexicans today, that was one of their strong traits. They could look up at the moon and know, what's getting ready to happen, as well as all of our ancient forefathers. But we lost that. Why? Because Jeremiah 17:4 says we discontinued from our heritage. But right now, we're in the process of seeking the Lord. And we're learning all over again about our heritage, our way of doing things, the law, statutes, and commandments. That's why the book of Jude says, you once knew this, I will put you back in remembrance. Because this is what we used to follow. We wasn't following no Julius Caesar calendar, no Gregorian calendar back then, because they didn't exist back then. So this Julius Caesar calendar, which it got reformed by Pope Gregory. It says the Julian calendar, the Julian calendar proposed by Julius Caesar in 46 BC/BCE was a reform of the Roman calendar. It took effect on January 1st, right, which is, these people's so-called New Year. 45 BC/BCE. It was designed with the aid of the Greek mathematics and Greek astronomers such as Sosigenes of Alexandria. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but like I said, you got the word there. You could search it up. It says the calendar was predominant calendar in the Roman world, most of Europe, and in the European settlements in the Americas and elsewhere, until it gradually got replaced by the Gregorian calendar, pre-amalgamated in 1582 by Pope Gregory. All right. So now let's see the Gregorian calendar. And like I said, the Julius Caesar calendar and the Gregorian calendar are both solar calendars, which goes against the scriptures, because these people believe that the earth revolved around the sun, a heliocentric theory. But we live in a geocentric, galaxy. The sun, as well as the different planets, revolves around the earth. All right? That's what geocentric means. Heliocentric is believing that everything revolves around the sun, that everything orbits the sun. And that's what these Greeks and Romans, believed in. So it says the Gregorian calendar is the calendar used in most of the world. It is named after Pope Gregory, who introduced it in October 1582. It says the calendar. So now we're going to figure out what's the difference between the Julius Caesar calendar and the Gregorian calendar. It says the calendar spaces leap years to make the average year 365.2425 days long, approximating the 365.2422 day tropical year that is determined by the Earth's revolution around the sun. And that's what a solar calendar is. This is why, we shouldn't even be following this. We shouldn't be determining the Sabbath based off of the Julius Caesar and Gregorian calendar, because they're solar based. And our forefathers in the scriptures, they didn't determine the new month or the high holy days based off of the sun. All right, but these heathens, the Greeks and Romans, they did. The rule for leap year is every year that is exactly divisible by 4 is a leap year, except for years that are exactly divisible by 100. But these central years are leap years if they are exactly divisible by 400. For example, the years 1700, 1800, and 1900 are not leap years, but the year 2000 is. So it's just a bunch of madness and confusion. So This is like a famous blog site, Quora.com. So the question was, what is the difference between the Gregorian and Julian calendars? It says the Gregorian calendar has 3 fewer days in every 400-year period than the Julian calendar. It says the time it takes Earth to complete one solar orbit, which they're going off already, all right? Because the Earth, it doesn't revolve around the sun. That's that heliocentric theory. That's wrong, because the sun revolves around the Earth. Like it tells you in the book of Joshua, chapter 10, verses 12 to 13, when the Lord gave Joshua the power to stop the sun, because the sun was orbiting the Earth, all right? Geocentric theory, which is not a theory, it's in the scriptures. The heliocentric theory of the Earth and the planets and everything revolving around the sun, that's wrong. And this is what the Julius Caesar calendar and the Gregorian calendar, that's what it's based off of. It's based off of a solar calendar, the Earth revolving around the sun. So it says the time it takes Earth to complete one solar orbit is about 365.2422 days, with 365 days per year plus a leap day every 4 years. The average length of a year of the Julian calendar, which is the reform to the old Roman calendar sanctioned by Julius Caesar in 46 BC, is 365.25 days. The difference between 365.2422 days per year and 365.25 days per year adds up to an error of about 1 day every 128 years. So that's the difference. All right. It says that may not seem like much, but after using the Julian calendar for 16 centuries, the error had grown to 12 days. Yeah, because every 100 years, it's pretty much going to add on an extra day. It says on the Gregorian calendar, which is the reform to the Julian calendar sanctioned by Pope Gregory in 1582, 3 out of every 4 century years evenly divisible by 100 are not leap years. So 1700, 1800, and 1900 were not leap years, but 2000 was. So every 400 years is a leap year. It says, but 2000 was, and 2100 and 2200 and 2300 are not leap years, but 2400 is. All right, so every 400 years is a leap year, according to the Gregorian calendar. It says the removal of those 3 days from every 400 years brought down the average length of a calendar year to 365.2425 days, reducing the error from about 1 day every 128 years to about 1 day every 3,300 years. All right, so like I said, these calendars is based off of, a solar calendar, the Earth revolving around the sun, and both of them are wrong. We should be going by a lunar, calendar. Now the word month, it comes from the word moon, because you determine the new month based off of what? The new moon. The moon was a symbol. The moon is used to what? Determine the high holy days, the new month, the new year, certain omens and things that were supposed to happen, such as a blood moon. Because the Lord said what? That there was going to be a blood moon before he comes back, right? So you're supposed to look up at the moon and know, what times that we're living in. Now this is Daniel 7:25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. And he did do that. He wore us out. Beginning with the Roman Empire all the way up to right now. He wore us out because the ancient Roman Empire was destroyed But when you read Romans chapter 13, verse 3, it came back into power through something called the Treaty of Rome as America and the European Union, which America and the European Union, their system is based off of the ancient Roman Empire system and their laws. That's why we have the calendars that we have today. It says, and to think to change times and laws, and he did that. All right, this is what the so-called white man did. He did it as the Romans, and he's doing it now. He changed the times and laws, right? The Julius calendar all the way up to what? The Gregorian calendar, which is what people use today. People are not using the lunar calendar, but they claim to say in the back of the dollar, "In God we trust." You know, you got to swear on the Bible in court, but they don't follow the Bible at all. And they change the laws, you know, their policies, their rules and regulations, even the Constitution of America and any other country, it goes contrary to the Bible, all right? Because if these people really worship the God of Israel, Yahweh, and his son Yahushua, they wouldn't change times and laws. They would go according to the ways of our ancient forefathers, and they don't do that. Even these Jewish people that claim to follow the Torah, they don't really follow it 100%. They don't follow it. So they changed the times and they changed the laws. That's why we got these different days of the week that goes back to, you know, quote unquote Greek gods, which don't exist, and these pagan Roman gods, you know, because the Greeks and Romans, they pagan, just like the Khazars, which they all the same people, you know, Edomites. The Edomites is a pagan nation, just like all the 17 heathen nations. They're pagan, you know, they worship pagan gods. Even the different letters, you know, is pagan. It says, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. This is Genesis 1:14. It says, and the Most High said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for years. All right. So that's what the moon was based off of. And the earth, another thing I want to point out is that the earth, it has its own light. Just like the moon has its own light. So you can't just land on the moon. You'll be burnt up. And really, you know, there's something called a Van Allen radiation belt, which that's what the Edomites call it, you know, NASA. But you can't even leave the earth. And a lot of people, they think the earth is flat because of that, you know. They flying up in the different atmospheres, and they claim that it's a flat plane, which that's not biblical, and it's not flat. Because if the earth was flat, and really knowing if the earth is flat or not, it matters for truth's sake, but it's not even, you know, it's not for salvation purposes. But the earth is not flat, though. It's a globe. It's round. This is Psalms 104:19. He appointed the moon for seasons. The sun knoweth his going down. Because what? The sun orbits the earth. And the moon is used for what? The different seasons. To know when the high holy days are coming. You know, a waxing moon, you know, a crescent moon, it decreases and increases. That's how you know the different days of the week according to the moon. You know, it goes into a crescent moon and then it enlarges. You know, it becomes a half a moon or a full moon. That's how you know when the month is getting ready to come. I mean, it was simple back then, you know, just to look up at the sky. There wasn't no chemtrails or nothing blocking the moon out. This is Ecclesiasticus, also known as the Book of Sirach, chapter 43, verse 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. All right? Because you got the harvest moon, you got the blood moon, you got a new moon, right? Which that's how we determine the Sabbath based off of the new moon, according to the Bible in the way of forefathers. That's what the moon is for. But the so-called white man, being the devil, this is why we call him the devil, because he deceived everybody to follow in this Gregorian calendar, which is not biblical. Verse 7, it says, "From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection." And that's how we know, when a week passes. You look at the moon, you see it's crescent moon. That's how you know when a week passes. When the moon gets bigger and bigger, and then you know that a month is getting ready to pass. That's how you know when a new moon comes. You don't see the moon in the sky. That's how you know it's the new moon. It's the Sabbath. It says verse 8, the month is called after our name. Yeah, the lunar calendar. And that's what we should be following, the lunar calendar, not the Gregorian calendar or even the Julius Caesar calendar. So you see how the white man, he's a devil, because he doesn't follow that. He want to change things up. I'm going to read it again. Ecclesiasticus 43:8, the month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament, of heaven. All right? And the armies above is talking about the stars up there. So hopefully, this was edifying. Shalom.